Good morning and welcome to That's My Farm. I'm McCauley and we're here in northeast Kansas by the Nebraska border. Stay tuned for Ken McCauley to talk about the technology he uses as well as the next generation of farming and his role on the Corn Commission. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm McCauley and I'm your guest host. I'm here with Ken McCauley in White Cloud, Kansas. And first off, Ken, how far does your family go back farming in this area?
Well, we're very fortunate to have 5 sides of our family that have been involved in agriculture and own farms, and my wife's side also. So we're very fortunate. It goes back 150 years. On this farm itself is 150 years of my great-great-grandfather, who is next door here. But as far as where we live here in this house, my great-grandfather built this house in the 1920s. My mother was born here. My grandmother lived here, and it's just very special to us. We take a lot of pride in the fact that he was a real energized guy for farming with horses, but I think we've improved the farm as we go, and we've expanded, and that's something we're really proud of. If you look at this farmstead compared to 43 years ago when I moved here, it doesn't look the same. We had buildings. There was a milk barn, chicken house, hog house, dogs, cats, everything. And today we've made it look more modern. We've remodeled the house. The house is a modern house today, much different than it was 100 years ago.
Right.
It's really, really interesting to have seen the transition. And looking at our son farms today, hopefully one of our 7 grandkids will want to farm and live here, because with our age and the things we're looking at, we really want someone to take over this house that will take care of it and feel the same as we do.
So with the whole farm operation, how many people do you have working under you, and how did you go about that process?
Well, it's actually 2 separate farms. Our son has his own, and we have our farm, and our farm has grown knowing that he was coming back from K-State. He's been back here over 10 years, and it's actually, he has his farm, me and my wife, she's very active. We have 2 full-time employees, which are very, very close to us. We treat them as family also. And then in the in harvest time, the busy time, we have up to 7 total. So it's a big enterprise once things get rolling. But in the off season, it's basically 3 of them, because I'm not around here as much as I used to be either. So 3 people run the place 75% of the time.
Okay. How many children do you have, Ken, and what's the future looking like for the farm?
Well, our son farms with us, and he's eventually going to take over the whole farm. Right now, he's making all the decisions, and he has 4 children, 3 girls and a son. Our daughter works at Archer Daniels Midland in Kansas City. She's a grain merchandiser, so she's involved in agriculture. Both graduated from K-State, and both of them, I feel, they make very good use of their education. Back when I grew up, people said you didn't need a college education, didn't do you any good. I really think they got a lot out of their education. And, hopefully one of those grandkids or 2 will want to live here and be a part of the farm. That's what I think every farmer dreams of, is passing it on to not only your son, but down the road of what grandkid would like to farm.
Okay, thank you. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
We're back here on That's My Farm at the McCauley Farm. I'm McCauley DeMott, your host this morning. We're going to go into some depth about some corn specifics here with Ken. So just to start off, what some varieties you have here?
Well, we tend to start planting with our shorter season, 107-day variety maturity corns. We end up with about 115-day. Right here we're in a 112-day variety. Planted at 34,000 population, which is about 6 inches apart on 30-inch rows. We try to fertilize for our yield goals, and this year we've exceeded our yield goal with less fertilizer. So something we're really proud of. We're actually getting 240 bushels an acre off of this field with 180 pounds of nitrogen, and most studies show that it takes more nitrogen than that. So we feel that the sustainability topic is really getting fulfilled right now. So when you look at the things we put in this field, we're getting the most bushels for those inputs. And that's really important. Most people don't understand. We talked to environmental groups about that. They do not understand that what you get out of it makes it more valuable. So that's really important. The other part of it is that you can see this field is very clean. We fight the weed resistance very close. We try to get the three-legged stool where you're attacking that weed from not just one point of glyphosate, but you try to hit it with 3 different kinds, and you can see the fields are really clean. Really proud of that. My son takes care of all that. He owns a sprayer. We hire him to spray, and he takes care of the chemicals. He's our agronomist in the field, and it's really good to have someone young to take care of that, because as we get older, our brains fill up and there's nothing left.
Sure. Go ahead and talk about how your soybeans fit into the rotation here.
Well, we look at, and soybeans are a very, very valuable crop, but to us, the soybeans are a rotation crop. And this year, the soybeans are really yielding good, but we've had some of this land in corn for as many as 5 to 8 years at a time, some people longer than that. As you go east of here, you have more rolling land and more slopes. You need to have more corn. And the longer you put corn out there, the better your soybeans will be, because the corn just builds up the organic matter, builds up the soil. We found that if we've had at least 3 years of corn, the soybeans will be quite a bit better after that. But you break down, your chemicals work better if you rotate. Most farmers rotate 50-50. We've gone as high as 80% corn. And in the fall, that really makes your life intense. And right now we're at 60% corn, 40% soybeans, and we could wrap up soybeans in the next 4 days.
Okay. Go and talk about how the crop prices are affecting the farm this year.
Well, prices are, as low as they seem. They're actually just a little bit higher than they were a year ago, and we have close to the same yields. Now, I know everybody doesn't have the same yields as last year, but I think it's going to turn out to be a more profitable year than we anticipated. It won't be near as much as 2 or 3 years ago, but we're satisfied with the yields and the price. I really think as soon as we get through with harvest, we're going to have some kind of an increase in the price, and that will make everybody feel good too. But that's where the grain storage comes into play. It really helps not having to sell at harvest when there's a market glut. It's a big beneficial aspect to our farm.
Thank you. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fall is a great time to plant, and if you would like fresh fruit, grapes, or berries to eat next year, now is an ideal time to plant.
We'll show you how, what, and where to plant for a successful crop of delicious, healthy fruit. We have a great selection and great service. Come see us at Jackson's.
Our entire stock of shrubs, roses, berries, perennials, and trees are now on sale at 25% off. Hurry out for your best selection.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm McCauley DeMott, your guest host, and we're here with Ken McCauley, just on the west side of Doniphan County. And we just want to talk to you, Ken, a little bit about your latest technological advances you've done here at the farm.
Well, we've always been early adapters of technology, and going from the yield monitors all the way through the auto steer, and now the drone technology. With the bins in our background, we have the computerized tower dryer system, and we don't monitor the bins directly with wires, but we keep track of them with different things that we can use on the iPhone technology. But we've got the cameras set up so we can watch things, not to watch the people work, the guys, sure, but also just to keep track of things, because it's really neat, all the things that we've got. And I think that's a big part of why our yields are up, why we are doing such a good job sustainably farming. I mean, we got to keep up with the buzzwords, but all these figure into the job we do on the farm and how we keep track of things. Because when you talk about sustainability, the real deal is you're documenting what we've done. We don't get enough credit for the things we do, and the sustainability is part of documenting, being able to say, this is what we've done.
Go into a little more detail about your drone and how long have you had that and how familiar you are with using that?
Well, I put it off for a year. My wife wanted me to buy it a year ago, and I'm glad I waited, but this drone UAV technology is just advancing at record pace. And you see the people who say we should drag our feet, we should wait. You can't wait for these things. You have to get your feet wet. You have to do these things to figure it out, because I was very apprehensive about learning it and all these, and I'm not scared of many things, but I was scared of losing it. So you have to get it, you have to learn how it's going to work. But I see so many possibilities with being able to check your crops, not necessarily all of them, not doing this full time, but the beauty of it is you can send it out, come back, done. You don't have to call anybody, you don't have to wait on an airplane to fly, you don't have to pay a lot of money. It's really a toy, but you're seeing the advantages of it. They're just huge.
Sure. Also go into some more detail about the technology you have with your bins, and if the market requires it, the different things you can do.
Well, if you look at our bin system, we designed it to be able to isolate and identity preserve crops, and that's kind of where I grew up and the things that were changing. I visualized that as a big deal. The market hasn't offered enough money or any money at all to make that beneficial yet. But if the market decides that they need that and they want to pay enough for it, we can do it. And it's a different scale than some people think, but really these are large bins. But that's the way agriculture is today. It's just a bigger scale. Sure. So we feel we can adapt to anything the market asks us to do.
Sure, okay. Well, thank you, Ken. We'll be back after these few words from our sponsors.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Supply.
If you're searching for bulls that offer genetic flexibility, then come to the Dale Banks Angus Bull Sale, Saturday, November 19th near Eureka, Kansas. Selling 140 bulls that have spent their lives in rough Flint Hills pastures. For 112 years, the Perriers have been focused on providing hard-working, balanced trait bulls for progressive cattlemen nationwide. Make plans to join us on November 19th or bid online at liveauctions.tv. Call the Perriers at 620-583-4305 or dalebanks.com.
The new Better Horses Network is worldwide. Presented by Lucas Oil. Featuring worldwide radio and TV with iconic hosts like Al Dunning, Sharon Camarillo, Ernie Rodina, Lindy Birch, and Craig Cameron. With American Cowboy, Horse and Rider, Brushy Creek, Cavenders, and Ride TV. Worldwide radio and TV. The all-new Better Horses Network.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm McCauley DeMott, your guest host, and I'm here with Ken McCauley. And you are a part of the Kansas Corn Growers and Kansas Corn Commission. Tell me, is that correct?
Yes, I'm involved in both, and Kansas Corn Commission actually is the checkoff side of things in the Kansas Corn Checkoff. It's 1 cent per bushel. It can be used for promotion and research of corn, and that, to be honest, that's how the ethanol business bloomed so well in the past 10 years, is because of your checkoff dollars.
Okay. And how are you involved in those two organizations?
Well, I'm a board member of both, but being a board member of Kansas Corn Growers Association has really given me a lot of insight into what really needs to happen and why things have happened the way they have. And I would like to say to all the members out there, thank you for being a member, and for those who are not, to become a member, because it's really important that farmers become active in organizations that will represent you at state level and at the national level, because that's where things, you just need a voice there, and size does matter. So if there's one message that we could give, it would be to become a member and to realize how much that voice is, how important that really is.
Okay. What are some key issues that are with those organizations?
Well, currently we have the Environmental Protection Agency trying to make a decision on the renewable fuel standard, and our message has been and still is to keep the RFS in place as it is at the current levels, and that's really important to all the price of corn, demand for corn, all those things. EPA is also attacking us on the waters of the U.S., which could change drastically. Right now it's in the courts. Judge has been in our favor. We continue to fight that, because that's just terribly important to us. If anyone's read about that, that is just a total infringement on all of our property rights. Then there's also the atrazine issue that EPA continues to look at. They're just attacking us on so many fronts. We need all the representation that we can get.
How does being a part of a larger organization help you on your farm here?
Well, it gives us some time to do our work and know that we've got people working for us. The other part of it is that there's so many things that we get represented on in Washington and Kansas that you just can't keep track of them. There's always somebody watching out for us, and it's really important. Granted, those things will happen regardless, but the other side of that is, if you're not a member, you can't say that you did your part, and it's really important right now to speak up for yourself, to speak up for agriculture, and to help someone speak up for you by being a lobbyist or being a person watching out for the EPA. The watchdog type mentality is just really important right now, because we're just under attack from so many sides.
Thank you, Ken. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Clyde Sutton, Ness City, Kansas. Lived on this place all my life. About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell. First it wasn't for me, then they started doing neck and back. Before I went down to Manhattan, the pain I was having from my neck down to my hand was curling my hand back. Some people had thought I almost had a stroke, and my shoulder had drawn up. I couldn't lift, I couldn't sleep, I really couldn't do anything, and was scheduled to be operated on, but was scared of the knife, I guess. Went and had it done. As you can see, I saddled a horse. I'm still building fence. Love to shoot a shotgun rifle, and I'm able to participate, not like I used to, but nevertheless I can do the things I used to do. And I want to personally thank the doctors, nurses, staff at Kansas Regenerative Medicine for the opportunity they give me to have my life back again.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm McCauley DeMott, your guest host, and we're here with Ken McCauley. And to start off, what kind of plan do you have in place to pass on your farm to the next generation?
Well, we've always looked at this as how are we going to keep the farm intact? And we've been at this transition period for about 5 or 6 years, and we finally got to the point where we have a plan in place, and we feel like it's working best for our family and our son and our daughter and all of our grandkids. So the fact that we have the plan in place doesn't mean it's finished, because it just continually needs to be looked at, and how's it working, things like that. But currently we're just looking for that. That's our main point right now.
Talk about your son and his family and how they're involved with farming at the moment.
Well, our son currently has his own farm, and that's one big thing that my dad always stressed to me, that we need to be using our own money, growing our own business, and that's been a really big influence on my life, and it's the way we've done it with our son. Mm-hmm. We had a large farm together, but it was his farm and our farm. Currently his farm's getting bigger, ours is getting smaller. And we're just really lucky to have enough land to do this. Some people can't. But in the 80s, it seemed like it was just terrible hard to do, because there was not enough profit to make that happen. We're really lucky the fact that we've coming off of a good profit time, and everybody's grown. So we feel really confident that that's going to work to where we still own our land, we lease the land, retire off of it, and then as far as our estate goes, the right things will happen there when we decide to pass away. Okay. And we don't get to decide that.
Right. Your son and his son, how do you think he's planning on, do you think he's going to follow in your footsteps of passing the farm along? Oh,
I'm sure our son Brad is. He's talked about, being impressed the fact that we're doing this to make the right things happen. He's talked about doing it himself. As far as which grandkid or how many will want to be a part of the farm, you never know that. When, your age, you probably know what you're going to do, but as far as a high school kid, things like that, you just have to let things happen. And I've always been pretty good at that. Just, throw it up in the air, and hopefully you can make the wind blow some in the right direction.
What do you think the differences are from when you started farming back in the day to now?
Well, if you look back into the 1960s, when I started farming in high school with my brother, things have changed so much, coming from a tractor without a cab that was really wheels out in the open and a plow, to no-till farming today with all the auto steer precision things that we do. It's just been a huge eye-opener for me. I think my son even recognizes the fact that these things have really improved our life. We should, my life's much better than my grandpa's life. I've been so fortunate, I've known 3 of my great-grandparents. I was old enough to know that their bodies they didn't live as long. Their bodies were really broken up. Mine isn't in good shape, but I think all of this agriculture improvements have been because of profits, because of, different layers. And I really think that is a huge deal, not to mention the profit potential we have because of the increased yields.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Thank you for watching That's My Farm. Make sure you tune in next week for the next episode.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.